HIFIMAN Ananda Nano. This is the latest version of the HIFIMAN Ananda. The Nano version incorporates not just the stealth magnet design as the Ananda Stealth had, but also the nano diameter thickness diaphragm, which should result in a much better technical resolution and revealing ability for the new headphone. Now, this one is priced at $599, which places it in a very heated segment of the market. They are an upper mid-range, high-end headphone. It is not the flagship of HIFIMAN, and we will be reviewing that as well. We have the HA1000 SA in our hands that we'll be reviewing, and we have a few other HIFIMAN headphones. But the new Ananda Nano is just beautiful. Just look at this. Silver with black accents. So nice, so continuous and so harmonious. We have a different headband design, and although it does look very similar to the other HIFIMAN headphones, it is different. Just look at this. The headband is much tighter, and although it is a bit cumbersome to place it on my head, it offers better support for the headphones. This means that they feel much lighter than they did with the older Ananda versions. They feel really light and they have a higher clamping force, but not much higher. So not quite as high as Sennheiser HD 660S2, but still a bit higher. This offers better support for the headphones, for the ear cups on my head, which should offer a much better sonic reproduction than the other Ananda versions. The ear pads are sculpted in such a way that they sit really naturally on all heads out there. It is always great to be excited about the technical advancement and when it comes to the technical precision, but what does Ananda Nano mean? What does Nano mean? Well, HIFIMAN has been developing those diaphragms or the moving part of the headphone driver that is just a few nanometers in thickness. The reason for this is that the thinner and the easier to move a driver is, the more accurate it is, the higher the dynamic range of that driver, and the more detail it can reproduce. Because it is easier to move it, then it will move more faithfully relative to the impulse that it is being fed by the magnets of the driver. Now, this one has one of the lightest, easiest to move drivers around. This also means that they don't have any kind of passive noise isolation. So even the magnets are stealthy, which means that they are acoustically transparent, which means that sound doesn't bounce off the magnet back into your ears. So there is no distortion from the magnet itself or from the headphone construction, which means that sound passes through them like foo, and this results in a very open design. Your music will leak to the outside world, everyone will know what you've been listening to, and you will hear absolutely everything. So placing them on my head, I get 0 decibels of passive noise isolation, no noise isolation. Keep that in mind, it will be important for you. The cable feels like an upgraded version of what HIFIMAN used to have. This one is much softer, it bends much nicer, bendy cable. It is longer, this one is 3 meters in length. Nice having a longer cable. Those are made to be used indoors, so this is why they come with a longer cable. They are somewhat hard to drive, and the main specs that I could find quote an impedance of 14 ohms, but a sensitivity of 19.4 decibels, which means that they will be really hard to drive. The sensitivity is really low. The weight is 419 grams, which makes them a slightly heavier headphone, but as I said, the weight is distributed so evenly and so nicely that you don't even feel that. The frequency response is quoted to be between 5 Hz and 55 kHz, which once again could be considered to be overkill, but it's good to know that the company measured them with high precision microphones. Besides the headphone, we have a transport case, which is very sturdy, very well made. As you can see, it resists compression force very well. It should offer good support for the headphones while in transportation. So this is not meant to be used outdoors. Of course, you could still do that, but you would need a very beefy player. And this is an example of such a beefy player. This is the iBasso DX320 Max Ti, a very high-end app, but which has a price tag of $3,500 and almost half a kilogram of weight. Imagine having this in your pocket just to listen to the Ananda Nano outdoors. For outdoor listening, HIFIMAN has the Zvanar and the Zvanar Wireless, which have been my daily drivers for gym. So they have something for everyone and something, regardless what you are going to do, they have something for you. Back to the Ananda Nano, this is the biggest upgrade that I've heard sonically from HIFIMAN in a headphone. So while the HA1000 version 2, Stealth, SA, all of them sound quite similar to each other, the new Nano from Ananda is something else entirely. So the upgrade in raw resolution transparency and dynamics is insane. They are so crazy good. They reproduce music with such strength and such impact that I am shocked. They are so beautiful in sound. Everything is so musical. I'm really excited about them. They have a very detailed sound, so the resolution and the detail is incredible. They have such a great overall revealing ability, but they also have a somewhat neutral, natural sound. So you don't feel like the bass is out of line, or like the treble is too bright or too sharp, or like anything is unnatural. Rather, you feel the sound to be very natural, but at the same time extremely open, extremely vibrant, vivid, and direct. The resolution is surprisingly good. I usually don't get so excited about a headphone, especially when it is not a flagship, and HIFIMAN has much pricier headphones than the Ananda Nano. But it is so nice to hear a headphone having such a good amount of bass while keeping it under control, keeping it speedy enough to resolve details in technical death metal or very fast EDM music, but also to have such a clean and such a detailed mid-range that works well with both male and female voices. It's really outstanding, I will tell you this. The Ananda Nano is really outstanding. It's like you cry when you are listening to emotional music with them. You really get to feel the emotion in music, and you really get to feel music with them. And I think that is a true achievement made by HIFIMAN. It's really nice. The build quality is superb, as I was saying. Very nice build quality. And I think that a really good example of a strong competitor is Meze 109 Pro, which is $200 more. So this one is pricier. Now, Ananda Nano, typically you wouldn't think that it would stand a chance, because Meze is a really reputable company and the 109 Pro is one of my favorite headphones. But the Ananda Nano, well, it does stand a chance. Now, there are differences between them and similarities too. Now, both of them are very resolute. Both of them have outstanding resolution, detail, and clarity. Both of them are very dynamic in sound, but they have very different driver technology. We have dynamic drivers for Meze Audio, and we have planar magnetic drivers for Ananda Nano. Ananda Nano has a very different type of sound. So Ananda Nano goes for being a bit smoother in textures, a bit less bright and a bit less acoustically sharp, while Meze 109 Pro tends to be quite sharp and it tends to be a bit fatiguing for some. And I think that is an important distinction, because I never heard anyone say that Ananda Nano is sharp or harsh or fatiguing. So this one can still be extremely resolute and vivid and colorful in the mid-range without being fatiguing. 109 Pro is better for extremely aggressive music, where they really capture that aggressive emotion in music. And while I think both of them are very good generalist headphones, I think that Ananda Nano is slightly better as a generalist headphone because it doesn't have a preference for any kind of tuning. It just sounds good with everything. The comfort is also quite different. The earpads are much smaller on the 109 Pro, but my ears have enough space in both of them. The clamping force is higher on the new Ananda Nano, and overall, as you can see, they look a bit different. I think that both of them look really nice. I love both of them, but let's be honest, this one looks a bit more modern and a bit more technologic, while 109 Pro looks more vintage and more classy. Now, I do think that overall the Ananda Nano is an impressive upgrade, and for the price it has, as you can see, it can fight with 109 Pro from Meze. With the kind of price that HIFIMAN is selling those for, they should dominate the market. They are comfortable to wear around your head. Headphone is machined perfectly. There is no loose edge, there is no loose part in them, there is no odd creaking noise. They really feel nice. There is a bit of lateral swivel allowed by the headband design. And overall, just look at them, You really have to hear them. Trust me on this one, you have to hear them to believe that something so resolute, so clean, so punchy, and so detailed exists. It's unbelievable. It's so clean, so crisp, and yet it is never sharp, it is never harsh. You never think that it sounds metallic. It sounds open, airy, and the soundstage size is insane too. And that is something important to touch on if we are comparing those two. Meze 109 Pro doesn't have as wide of a soundstage as Ananda Nano. Ananda Nano sounds wider, it is more holographic, while 109 Pro has slightly better instrument separation. This one creates more space between instruments, while Ananda Nano tends to blend everything a bit better together, so everything is a bit more combined, yet it extends more in width and depth. So they create this spatiality feeling a bit better than 109 Pro. Overall, I think that it is the perfect headphone. It is a huge upgrade over the Ananda Stealth and the original Ananda. I think that the original Ananda was a warmer, smoother kind of headphone that I found to be impressive, but not too impressive. It was natural, okay, super nice, comfortable, but it wasn't surprising in the performance. The original Ananda was a good headphone. The new Ananda Stealth was surprisingly good, but also became even smoother and even a bit bassier than the original. And the new Nano, well, take everything that the two previous models have been and add a much improved dynamic, much improved overall resolution, a much better texture detail, and yet still keep it smooth and still keep it natural. Don't make it too much, don't make it too harsh, and don't make it too bright. Allow it to sound natural and allow it to sound free. This is how I think that the new Ananda Nano sounds like. I think that the Nano diaphragm from HIFIMAN is totally worth your money. Any single one of those headphones, when they have a nano revision, is like getting them to be on steroids and then giving them caffeine and then giving them a very controlled attitude. This is how I think they sound like. So they sound very powerful, very dynamic, and yet they keep that finer control and finer resolution intact. I hope that you'll keep your love for Audiophile Heaven intact. I hope that you'll consider subscribing to Audiophile Heaven. Also leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the content. Don't forget, I'm here to answer your questions. I have a PayPal link if you want to donate something, if you find my content enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll have a lovely week out there, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye!